In tough times, our elders truly knew how to stretch a dime and make something out of seemingly nothing. Their resourcefulness in the kitchen not only kept folks fed, but also resulted in some rather imaginative and surprisingly tasty sandwich creations. These 20 forgotten poor man's sandwiches might strike us as a bit peculiar today, but they were vital sustenance during periods like the Great Depression, wartime rationing, and other lean years. Let's take a little trip down memory lane and explore these simple yet significant bites. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This one's practically an American icon now, a true childhood sweetheart. But believe it or not, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich actually started out as a smart, budget-friendly way to get protein. Cookbook mentions pop up around 1901, but it really became a go-to during the Depression era. Peanut butter offered inexpensive protein, while homemade jellies were perfect for preserving seasonal fruit bounty. During World War II, both peanut butter and jelly made their way into military rations. When the soldiers came home, they helped cement the PB&J status across the country. The real magic is how something so simple just works sweet and salty, creamy and fruity, with protein and carbs all wrapped up in 2 slices of bread. To be super frugal, folks often spread the peanut butter right to the edges to create a seal, saving the precious jelly for the middle. You know, regional taste played a part too. You might find grape jelly up in the Northeast, luscious strawberry preserves down south, or maybe even apple butter in the Appalachians. Each variation reflected the fruits readily available during those lean years. This simple, practical meal eventually became the beloved comfort food we know today, carrying a history as layered and rich as its flavor. The onion sandwich. Okay, hold on a minute, just raw onion between slices of bread? That might sound a bit strong at first blush. Yet, the onion sandwich was a crucial source of strength for countless working people in the early 1900s. Onions were truly a lifesaver. They were cheap, pretty easy to find any time of year, and packed a nutritional punch along with their bold flavor, especially when other foods were hard to come by. What's the trick to making it palatable, you ask? Well, you'd slice the onion nice and thin, then give those slices a soak in cold water to mellow out some of that sharp bite. Pat them dry before layering them on bread, often spread with a little butter or perhaps drizzled with vinegar. A simple sprinkle of salt and pepper was all it needed to transform this humble assembly into a surprisingly flavorful bite. Coal miners and factory workers would often carry these fragrant sandwiches in their lunch pails. Some even say the strong aroma might have helped deter anyone thinking about swiping their lunch. Beyond the taste, it provided energy from those simple carbs and even helped ward off winter sniffles, thanks to the onion's natural antibacterial qualities. A truly sturdy sandwich for sturdy folks. The bread and butter sandwich. This one takes simplicity to a whole new level, just 2 slices of bread with a layer of butter. Nothing more. But during genuinely tough times, this humble sandwich spoke volumes about resilience and making do with whatever little you had. In periods of real economic hardship, it wasn't at all unusual for families to rely on just this for a meal. The secret to making even this feel special? It truly was all in the small things. Butter softened just right so it spread like a dream, maybe a tiny sprinkle of salt to coax out the flavor, or giving the bread a gentle toast so the butter melted right into it. I remember hearing how during wartime rationing, kids often found these very basic sandwiches in their school lunches. Some parents even got creative, cutting the sandwiches into fun shapes or pressing patterns into the butter to give their kids a little extra love and make the plainest meal a touch more cheerful. It wasn't fancy, but it was sustenance, and it came with love. The ketchup sandwich. When the cupboards were truly bare, the ketchup sandwich sometimes became the absolute last resort. Yet, somehow, it managed to capture the hearts of many children who ate them. Just picture it. 2 slices of bread, with ketchup spread between them. This sandwich was the ultimate symbol of making do with next to nothing. During the Great Depression, ketchup, made from tomatoes, offered a burst of flavor and even a tiny hint of nutrition when fresh vegetables were practically impossible to get. To try and make it feel like more of a meal, sometimes parents would toast the bread. A sprinkle of sugar was often added to sweeten the ketchup, nudging it closer to a dessert than a savory item. It's said that in some school cafeterias back in the 1930s, this was occasionally on the menu for the kids. Many Depression-era children grew up with these sandwiches, and some even carried on the tradition later in life, long after times had improved, perhaps out of nostalgia or habit. The cucumber sandwich. While we often think of dainty cucumber sandwiches served at fancy afternoon teas, their origins are actually much humbler, starting as simple fare during difficult periods. Thin slices of cool cucumber between two pieces of bread provided much-needed hydration and a refreshing bite, especially welcome for workers during hot weather, particularly when meat was simply too expensive to afford. During the Great Depression summers, families would use fresh cucumbers from their gardens, adding just a light smear of butter and a pinch of salt. That cool, crisp cucumber was a true relief, particularly for farm workers laboring in the heat. If they were lucky enough to have them, a dash of dill or vinegar might be added, lifting the flavor. Unlike many of the other poor man's sandwiches that were purely about filling the stomach, the cucumber sandwich offered something different. It provided a psychological lift, a rare moment of enjoying something light and fresh when most meals were heavy in starches. It was a simple luxury born of necessity. The mayonnaise and banana sandwich. Now, this might sound like a head-scratcher to modern ears mayo with banana, but for many families, especially in the South during difficult times, it was a surprisingly filling and practical meal solution. This unexpected duo provided folks with some cheap protein from the mayonnaise and valuable nutrients from the bananas. Moms during the Depression would carefully slice ripe bananas lengthwise and arrange them on soft white bread, adding just the right amount of mayonnaise for a creamy texture that paired nicely with the banana's natural sweetness. If a bit of sugar or maybe some honey was on hand, a light sprinkle could really make it feel like a special treat. Interestingly, even Elvis Presley was said to be a fan of a version of this, sometimes adding peanut butter into the mix for extra oomph. That blend of tangy, creamy mayo with the sweet, soft banana somehow created a flavor that was much more balanced than you might guess. It's a true testament to getting creative when the pantry is sparse. The mayonnaise and onion sandwich. Similar to its banana-partnered cousin, the mayonnaise and onion sandwich was a simple yet rather bold meal that delivered big flavor when not much else was available. Thinly sliced, raw onions, sometimes given that familiar soak in cold water to soften their pungency, were layered with creamy mayonnaise between slices of bread. This sandwich became a particular favorite among factory workers, offering a truly affordable and filling option that provided the necessary energy for long, physically demanding shifts. It was especially well-loved by Southern textile mill employees and Midwestern manufacturing workers. If folks happen to have them, a sprinkle of black pepper or a dash of paprika might be added to help enhance the flavors. It was a strong sandwich for strong workdays. The tomato sandwich. The tomato sandwich, this one, is a pure celebration of summer's generosity. It's best enjoyed when garden-grown tomatoes are bursting with flavor and sunshine. Simply sliced thick and placed between two pieces of bread, often with just a sprinkle of salt and pepper. This simple meal cost almost nothing, but delivered a seasonal happiness eagerly awaited every single year. Down south, you'd typically find a light spread of mayonnaise, while Midwestern versions might lean towards butter. The real key? Using those tomatoes still warm from the sun, letting their juicy goodness slightly soak into the bread, creating a delightfully messy yet glorious experience. During the height of garden season, many folks would happily eat this sandwich daily, savoring each bite until the first frost signaled the end of fresh tomato season. It's a taste that screams summer and simple pleasure. The tuna salad sandwich. When canned tuna started appearing more widely in the early 20th century, it truly changed the game for folks needing to make their food budget stretch. Mixed with mayonnaise and sometimes a bit of finely chopped celery or onion for crunch, tuna salad turned a small amount of protein into enough filling for several sandwiches. During World War II, with meat rationing in full effect, tuna salad sandwiches became a sort of patriotic alternative to beef or pork. Navy wives, in particular, embraced these sandwiches, occasionally adding relish or chopped hard-boiled eggs to make the filling go even further. You'd often see tuna salad sandwiches served at church functions and community get-togethers because they were economical and could easily feed a big crowd. More than just a simple lunch, the tuna salad sandwich really came to symbolize community resilience. It shows how neighbors shared knowledge and clever ways to stretch ingredients, helping each other weather difficult periods together. Bologna Sandwich. The Bologna Sandwich. Now, here's a classic that many of us probably grew up with. It's practically one of America's most iconic budget-friendly meals, loved for being just so straightforward and inexpensive. Typically, you'd find thin slices of processed bologna slapped between two pieces of simple white bread, often with just a dab of classic yellow mustard. Back during the Great Depression, when money was tighter than tight, bologna actually earned the nickname poor man's steak. It was a way folks could feel like they were having a hearty meal without spending much at all. Sometimes, just a single slice of bologna was carefully placed to cover the bread, creating the illusion of a fuller meal. You know the best kind, right? The ones where the bologna was perhaps lightly fried, the edges curled up a bit, cradling just the right amount of mustard or mayonnaise. It wasn't about fancy ingredients then. It was about those small, thoughtful touches that made the sandwich feel special. Some families even score the edges of the bologna before frying to keep it from curling, while others fried it up to a satisfying crispy perfection. Simple, yes, but oh so satisfying. The Egg and Sardine Sandwich. When protein was hard to come by, but essential for fueling long hours of physical labor, the Egg and Sardine Sandwich offered maximum nutrition with very few ingredients. Canned sardines, often mashed right up with chopped hard-boiled eggs and perhaps a splash of vinegar for tang, created a substantial filling packed with protein and those beneficial omega-3 fatty acids. Immigrant communities, drawing on European traditions of preserving fish, readily adopted this sandwich due to its affordability and powerful nutritional value. It was a popular choice for factory workers and miners, easy to pack in a lunch pail and providing sustained energy for grueling, demanding shifts. Some added finely chopped onion or pickles when they had them available to add a bit more flavor. It was a powerhouse sandwich born of necessity. The Peanut Butter and Pickle Sandwich. Okay, now here's a combo that truly sounds out there: peanut butter and pickles. But surprisingly, it was a rather clever and genuinely tasty creation born out of tough times. The creamy richness of the peanut butter and the tangy, crunchy pickles provided a fantastic balance of flavors, making it a satisfying choice when other options were slim. Folks during the Depression figured out that the sharp acidity of dill pickles somehow cut through the richness of peanut butter in a way that just worked beautifully. In some areas, sweet pickles might have found their way into the mix, especially in homes where families were busy canning their own preserves. The contrast in textures, smooth peanut butter against the crisp, crunchy pickles added a welcome bit of variety to diets that could often feel pretty monotonous. This sandwich stayed popular well into the 1950s, particularly in rural areas where both ingredients were readily available, whether from home canning or just being affordable pantry staples. Even as times got easier, many who grew up eating these sandwiches carried the taste into adulthood, keeping the peanut butter and pickle sandwich as a nostalgic reminder of their past and the ingenuity it required. The bread and milk sandwich. Perhaps the most profoundly basic and comforting meal on this list, the bread and milk sandwich is a truly humble creation that grew out of poverty. Just imagine slices of bread, sometimes soaked in milk slightly sweetened with a sprinkle of sugar, and then pressed together to form a simple yet satisfying bite. This became a go-to meal when very few alternatives existed. During the Depression, parents often served this as a makeshift dessert for children who simply had no access to traditional sweets or treats. On those rare special occasions, just a dash of cinnamon could be added, magically transforming this very basic sandwich into something that felt almost like a slice of cake. The bread and milk sandwich shows up in many Depression-era memories as both a symbol of hardship and a touching testament to parental love. It reminds us how, even during the absolute toughest times, mothers and fathers found ways to turn the simplest ingredients into a comforting experience for their little ones. The fried Spam sandwich. When Spam made its debut in 1937, it quickly became a go-to, affordable meat option during the Great Depression and the rationing years of World War II. Sliced thin and fried up until those edges got nice and crispy, Spam on bread became a reliable standard for working-class families. GIs consumed vast amounts of Spam during the war, and many brought their fondness for it back home. Often dressed simply with mustard or mayonnaise, the fried Spam sandwich's popularity truly exploded far beyond its initial humble status. Down in Hawaii, where Spam became particularly popular during the military presence, unique regional takes on the Spam sandwich emerged and are still enjoyed regularly today. It's a testament to how this canned meat truly embedded itself in American kitchens. The bacon and peanut butter sandwich. When a single strip of precious bacon had to somehow stretch to flavor an entire meal, the bacon and peanut butter sandwich was inventively born. Often, just one crispy strip of bacon would be crumbled right into the creamy peanut butter, infusing the whole spread with that irresistible smoky, savory taste. During times of meat rationing, this clever sandwich allowed families to enjoy the coveted taste of bacon while making their limited meat supply last much longer. The salty, smoky bacon truly paired surprisingly well with the creamy richness of the peanut butter, creating a really satisfying combination that was more than the sum of its simple parts. On special occasions, maybe a little honey or molasses might be added to amp up the flavor even further. It's a sweet and savory marvel from leaner days. Curried sardine salad sandwiches. Here's one that brought a bit of exotic spice to the everyday. Curried sardine salad sandwiches. They offer a really bold, zesty combination of flavors thanks to sardines and curry powder. This sandwich became popular in mid-20th century America, especially after World War II, when canned sardines were a true budget hero. The recipe typically mixes mashed sardines with fragrant curry powder, creamy mayonnaise, a little tangy lemon juice, and crunchy chopped celery, creating a flavorful spread with a nice mix of textures. You'd spread this delicious mixture generously on your favorite bread. Sometimes fresh lettuce leaves or cucumber slices were tucked in for an extra layer of cool crunch. Across the pond in England, variations might even include chopped apples or raisins for a hint of sweetness, while in the US, you'd often find hard-boiled eggs or capers added for an extra punch. This sandwich is a delightful blend of savory, tangy, and crunchy, definitely a memorable meal option from the past. The Lard Sandwich. Okay, the Lard Sandwich is perhaps the starkest symbol of truly bare-bones sustenance among all these poor man's meals. Literally, just rendered animal fat spread between two slices of bread. This was a filling bite that provided essential calories when literally nothing else was available. In areas like Appalachia and among deeply rural families, this simple sandwich was a quick source of dense energy, often made a little more interesting with just a sprinkle of salt for a savory version or sugar for something sweeter. While it wasn't exactly a picture of balanced nutrition, the Lard Sandwich served its purpose. It kept people going. Those who had access to lard rendered right there at home often swore it tasted better than anything you could buy in a store. On those rare, special days, a thin layer of molasses might be added for a sweet variation. The sandwich's high-calorie content made it especially popular with folks doing hard physical labor, giving them the fuel needed to power through demanding workdays. Creamed corn sandwich. The creamed corn sandwich is another one of those truly nostalgic comfort foods that instantly transport you back to simpler days. This genuinely humble sandwich features creamed corn, often spread generously on buttered bread. It offers a distinct, creamy, and slightly sweet taste that provided real comfort and sustenance when ingredients were scarce. The combination of that soft, creamy corn and the yielding bread made for a satisfying, hearty bite. Popular during periods of hardship, it reflects an era where homemade simplicity and resourcefulness were deeply valued. The creamed corn sandwich continues to evoke memories of classic American comfort food, offering a direct taste of a bygone time that many still enjoy for its warm, familiar flavors. The Sloppy Joe. The Sloppy Joe now, that's a classic American sandwich that really became a family favorite around the mid-20th century. Made with ground beef simmered in a tangy, slightly sweet sauce of onions, tomato sauce, or ketchup, a dash of Worcestershire sauce, and various seasonings, this deliciously messy sandwich is famously served on a hamburger bun. The exact beginnings of the Sloppy Joe are a bit debated. Some stories say it was first made by a bar owner in Havana, Cuba, way back in 1917, while others trace it closer to home, maybe Sioux City, Iowa, in the 1930s. Regardless of its precise birthplace, by the 1940s, Sloppy Joes were firmly established as a popular, easy, and economical meal across the United States. These sandwiches not only tell us something about the culinary trends of their time, but also offer a tasty glimpse into the flavors and preferences that truly helped shape mid-20th century American home cooking. The ham and cheese sandwich. While the ham and cheese sandwich is now a total lunchbox classic, its widespread popularity during tough times originated from the careful management of precious, limited resources. Deli ham, sliced paper thin, and just a single slice of processed cheese could be stretched across several sandwiches, providing a meal for a family with minimal ingredients. During the Depression, moms often used just one thin slice of each per sandwich for the entire family, sometimes adding a bit of lettuce or mayonnaise just to make it seem a bit bigger and heartier. This simple pairing offered a complete source of protein when buying larger quantities of meat was simply out of the question. Some families even saved cheese rinds to melt down into a spread, making their cheese supply last even longer than just slicing it would. It's a classic for a reason. It's reliable and satisfying. The chicken salad sandwich. The chicken salad sandwich, as we know it, really started out of pure necessity, a smart way to stretch the meat from one chicken to feed a whole family for days. After enjoying a nice Sunday dinner and using leftovers for perhaps Monday's soup, any chicken remaining will be finely chopped and mixed with mayonnaise to create a filling that could make numerous sandwiches. During the Depression years and wartime rationing, creative cooks would add diced celery, apples, or even hard-boiled eggs to make the mixture go even further. The finer the chicken was chopped, the more sandwiches you could make. It was about creating a meal that provided protein and felt satisfying without wasting a single scrap. These sandwiches were often served at church socials, sometimes with the crusts neatly trimmed and cut into little triangles, turning everyday food into something a bit more special without much expense. It makes you wonder, could these old-school, resourceful sandwiches make a comeback today? It's certainly food for thought. Ravioli Sandwiches. Now here's an unconventional one that sounds kind of fun. Ravioli Sandwiches. It's a creative spin on Italian flavors combined with the convenience of a sandwich. These likely started popping up as a response to the huge popularity of canned ravioli, which folks like Chef Boyardee made widely available starting in the 1930s. The basic idea is pretty straightforward. Just put canned ravioli, whether it's meat or cheese-filled, between two slices of bread. To make it even better, this sandwich was often toasted or grilled, creating a satisfying contrast between the soft ravioli filling and the crispy bread. You might have heard them called things like Italian sloppy joes or even ravioli heroes. These became particularly popular with college students needing a budget-friendly, quick, and hearty meal, blending those comforting Italian tastes with the ease of a sandwich you could hold. Which of these quirky sandwiches brings back the most memories for you? It's fascinating how they connect us to our past. Victory Sandwich. The Victory Sandwich stands as a powerful emblem of that post-war optimism and incredible kitchen ingenuity. Born out of an era where absolutely every ingredient counted, it was traditionally quite simple. Buttered bread, maybe just a modest smear of mustard or a little extra butter, and whatever cold cuts or leftover vegetables were on hand. Simple, yet hearty and satisfying. It truly became a culinary symbol of triumphing over hardship and making the most of what you had. Today, you'll find chefs giving a nod to the Victory Sandwich's humble roots by reinventing it with gourmet twists, perhaps using artisanal spreads, pickled vegetables, and higher-end cold cuts. It's a way of blending that old-world resourcefulness with modern flavors, celebrating its heritage. The Anchovy Paste Sandwich. The anchovy paste sandwich quietly became a working-class staple during tough times, demonstrating how even a tiny tube of anchovy paste could stretch its intense flavor across multiple meals. Spread thinly on buttered bread, sometimes paired with slices of hard-boiled egg when available, it offered a powerful punch of flavor and those important omega-3 fatty acids. Immigrant communities, particularly those from Mediterranean areas, easily embraced this sandwich, keeping food traditions alive despite economic hardship. The strong, savory flavor of the anchovy paste ensured satisfaction even when other ingredients were limited. If possible, a few thin slices of onion or a squeeze of lemon juice might be added to lift the taste even further. It's a taste of the old world providing strength in the new. The mock chicken sandwich. When real chicken was simply unattainable or far too expensive, clever cooks invented the mock chicken sandwich, a truly ingenious substitute made from much cheaper ingredients. Typically, this involved using coarsely ground bologna or other inexpensive processed meats mixed with cracker crumbs and seasonings designed to mimic the texture and flavor of actual chicken salad. During wartime meat rationing, this sandwich became a staple in factory cafeterias and school lunchrooms across the U.S. The key to making it convincing was all in the seasoning: sage, celery salt, perhaps a little paprika, and sometimes even a drop of yellow food coloring to give it that same buttery hue as real chicken salad. Some variations got even more creative, using cooked beans as the base instead of any meat at all. It was culinary imitation at its finest, born of necessity. The Monte Cristo Sandwich. The Monte Cristo Sandwich is one of those classic American comfort foods that really hit its stride in the mid-20th century. Think of it as essentially a delicious ham and cheese sandwich that takes a dunk in egg batter, sometimes even deep-fried, then pan-fried to golden, crispy perfection. Often seen as a kissing cousin to the French croque monsieur, the Monte Cristo can swing both ways, purely savory or a fun mix of savory and sweet. Some popular versions get dusted with powdered sugar and served with a side of maple syrup or maybe some fruit preserves, offering a delightful contrast to flavors. Its rise to fame got a significant boost partly for being a standout menu item at Disneyland's iconic Blue Bayou restaurant, where it became a big hit with guests. With its rich, melted cheese, savory ham, and that lovely crispy golden exterior, the Monte Cristo remains a wonderfully comforting and indulgent treat. The chicken liver sandwich. Back when truly every part of the chicken had to be utilized, the chicken liver sandwich became a cost-effective and surprisingly nutritious solution. Cooked thoroughly and finely chopped, often sautéed with onions, and then mixed with a little mayonnaise, chicken livers made a rich, iron-packed filling that was both substantial and incredibly affordable. Rural families, especially those who raised their own poultry, relied on these sandwiches to ensure nothing went to waste. Sometimes hard-boiled eggs or relish were added to enhance the flavor, making it both economical and remarkably good for you. Children on farms often carried these nutrient-dense sandwiches in their lunch pails, getting a good dose of concentrated nutrition during their busy, growing years. It's a sandwich that speaks volumes about nose-to-tail resourcefulness. Deviled ham sandwiches. Deviled ham sandwiches really became quite the popular choice in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, offering a flavorful, really easy-to-make lunch option. Deviled ham is typically made by grinding up ham and then mixing it with zesty spices like hot sauce, a pinch of cayenne pepper, or mustard, giving it that signature spicy kick. The term deviled itself refers to that practice of adding spicy seasonings to food, a culinary tradition that dates way back to the 1700s. In 1868, the William Underwood Company in Boston started canning deviled ham, and it became famous not just for its long shelf life, but also for its distinctive devil logo, which is one of the oldest food trademarks still around in the U.S. To whip up a simple deviled ham sandwich, you just mix the ground ham with mayonnaise, mustard, and maybe those spices, then spread it on a bread. Adding a bit of lettuce or pickles could give it some extra texture and flavor. It was a spicy, convenient meal perfect for the working day. Corned beef tongue sandwich. For those who are perhaps a bit more adventurous with their food, the corned beef tongue sandwich offered a truly unique flavor experience. Made with slices of seasoned, often slow-cooked corned beef tongue, this sandwich delivers a distinctive taste and incredibly tender texture that's unlike almost anything else. Layered between slices of fresh bread, rye was a common choice in delis. It transformed into a hearty, deeply satisfying meal. This sandwich really highlights a time when creativity and resourcefulness in the kitchen were absolutely essential, ensuring that every part of the animal could be turned into something delicious and appreciated. Olive loaf sandwiches. Let's take a stroll back to the mid-20th century, a time when the olive loaf sandwich was a staple tucked into American lunchboxes. This particular cold cut, a blend of ground pork, beef, and those distinctive green olives, quickly gained fans for its unique, savory taste. Putting the sandwich together couldn't be simpler. You'd layer slices of olive loaf, spread them with creamy mayonnaise or maybe some tangy mustard, add crisp lettuce, and sometimes cheese, all between fresh slices of bread. It became a favorite for picnics and packed lunches, often paired with a crunchy side like potato chips or pickles. The olive loaf sandwich is a neat example of how processed meats and luncheon meats played a big role in shaping American lunch culture, providing quick, flavorful, and versatile meal choices for busy families. Spam and pineapple sandwiches. Here's a pairing that captures that uniquely American love for sweet and savory combinations: Spam and pineapple sandwiches. This duo gained significant popularity around the time of World War II. Spam, which was introduced to the U.S. military in 1937, quickly became a household name. This sandwich typically features slices of crispy fried Spam paired with sweet, slightly caramelized pineapple rings. Layered between toasted bread, It created a fantastic contrast of flavors and textures. Often finished with a swipe of mayonnaise or maybe a slice of cheese, it also reflects the growing influence of Hawaiian cuisine on the mainland U.S., especially after Hawaii became a state in 1959. It's a tropical twist on a wartime staple. Macaroni and cheese loaf sandwich. Step back into the mid-20th century American kitchen, where comfort food sometimes took wonderfully creative forms. Enter the macaroni and cheese loaf sandwich. This unique creation featured slices made from a macaroni and cheese loaf, essentially a savory blend of pasta, maybe some ham, shaped into a loaf, sliced, and then layered between slices of bread. Often, it was dressed up with a little mustard or mayonnaise for extra flavor. This sandwich made its debut sometime in the 1950s and quickly became a peculiar, yet distinctive part of the American lunchtime routine. Families would gather, sometimes shaking their heads a little but still savoring this unusual dish, often served alongside potato chips or pickles for that necessary crunch. The macaroni and cheese loaf sandwich was a practical way to enjoy the hearty, beloved taste of macaroni and cheese in a format you could easily pack and carry. The 1970s kitchen was a playground for bold flavors and wild combinations. From creamy casseroles to crazy Jell-O creations, the era left its mark. Ready for a flavorful trip back in time? Here are 20 iconic 1970s recipes you absolutely must try before you passed away. Let's rediscover the unforgettable, quirky tastes that defined the decade. Hamburger potato bake. If one casserole could define a 70s weeknight across America, battling inflation and feeding hungry kids, it might just be the hamburger potato bake. Talk about stretching a pound of ground beef. This wasn't just food. It was the reliable, stick-to-your-ribs heart of countless family dinners. You took some brown ground beef, layered it in a baking dish with thinly sliced raw potatoes, and bound it all together with that indispensable kitchen miracle worker, a can of condensed cream of mushroom soup. The glue holding so many 70s casseroles together. Casseroles were already a beloved American tradition, perfect for feeding families economically. But the 70s truly perfected the art thanks to the explosion of convenience foods. Suddenly, combining canned soup and maybe some pre-shredded cheese on top meant a satisfying meal without hours chained to the stove. This dish was especially huge in heartland towns and growing suburbs, affordable, filling, and wonderfully easy to customize. Some families added sautéed onions or garlic. Others sprinkled generously with cheddar or American cheese for a gooey finish. Even thinking about its simple, savory aroma now feels like home, doesn't it? Pure, unadulterated comfort. Chicken in a biscuit casserole. Now, here's a dish that felt like a warm blanket on a chilly evening. The quintessential comfort food casserole. Chicken in a biscuit bake. Just the thought of the smell of this baking savory chicken, creamy soup, buttery biscuits browning takes you right back, doesn't it? At its heart, it was beautifully simple. Tender shredded chicken, often leftover roasted chicken, swimming happily in a rich, creamy sauce, almost always born from a can of condensed cream of chicken or cream of mushroom soup, maybe thinned with a little milk. The crowning glory, of course, was that golden, flaky topping made from refrigerator biscuits. In the 70s, convenience was king. With more parents working and families juggling busy schedules, pantry staples like canned soups and refrigerated doughs were absolute lifesavers. Toss it all in one baking dish, minimal fuss, pop it into the nearly universal electric oven, and dinner was reliably served. It wasn't fancy French cuisine, but it hit all the right notes: savory, soft, with that delightful textural contrast between the creamy filling and the slightly crisp biscuit top. It was deeply satisfying and reliably kid-approved. Folks might update it now, but that original, can-based version? Pure nostalgic gold when you need a dose of cozy reassurance on a plate. Cheese soufflé loaf. Feeling a bit continental and wanting to bring a touch of French elegance to the dinner table, but terrified by the notorious reputation of the temperamental classic soufflé? The ever-resourceful 1970s kitchen had a brilliant solution: the cheese soufflé loaf. This clever invention delivered much of the light, airy, cheesy goodness of a traditional soufflé, but ingeniously baked it into a sturdy, sliceable loaf form using a standard loaf pan. You got the impressive presentation and delicate texture without the nail-biting anxiety of it collapsing. This dish emerged during a time when American home cooks were increasingly fascinated by French cuisine. But a real soufflé? Too daunting for many. This loaf version offered similar savory flair with significantly less fuss and risk. The ingredients were usually simple pantry staples: eggs, flour, milk, butter, and crucially, lots of cheese, often sharp cheddar for a pronounced flavor, perhaps mixed with Swiss or Gruyere for meldability. A dash of paprika for color or some dry mustard for tang was common. It held its golden, high-rising shape beautifully. Today's cooks might swap flour or add spinach, but that original cheesy, puffy, yet reliably sliceable loaf remains a delicious reminder of clever 70s culinary problem-solving. Savory Jell-O salad with cheese. All right, let's kick things off with a real head-scratcher, a dish that perfectly encapsulates the sometimes baffling culinary landscape of the 70s. Remember savory Jell-O salad with cheese? Yes, you heard that right. Picture this: vibrant green or yellow lemon or lime gelatin, suspended within it like abstract art, chunks of shredded sharp cheddar, crisp bits of chopped celery, and those ubiquitous salty canned olives. It was this wobbly, jiggly creation, simultaneously salty, a little sweet, tangy, and strangely creamy from the cheese. Believe me, back then, this wasn't presented ironically. It was serious potluck fare, a proud, often molded centerpiece gleaming under the fluorescent lights at church suppers and holiday buffets. The 70s embraced savory gelatin with fervent convenience. Boxed Jell-O, pre-shredded cheese in plastic bags, and canned goods made these wild experiments accessible to everyone. You just stirred the unlikely partners together, poured it into a mold or a glass dish, chilled it until firm, and bam! Instant, if baffling, elegance served on a lettuce leaf. We might chuckle or raise an eyebrow now, wondering about the flavor combination, but back then, that jiggly block, with its surprising textures and technicolor look, was pure, unadulterated kitchen innovation. Hawaiian meatloaf. Meatloaf, arguably the quintessential American comfort food, a familiar, filling, and frequent star of the weeknight dinner rotation. But the 1970s, deeply influenced by the lingering craze for tiki culture and a fascination with all things Polynesian, decided to give this reliable classic a sunny, flavorful makeover. Enter Hawaiian meatloaf. Imagine that rich, savory bite of traditional meatloaf, ground beef, breadcrumbs, egg, onion, but now unexpectedly brightened with the sweet, tangy burst of crushed pineapple mixed right into the meat mixture itself. Often, it was crowned with a zesty glaze made from ketchup or tomato sauce, brown sugar, and maybe more pineapple juice, brushed on during baking. It transformed the ordinary into a mini culinary vacation. This wasn't just about new flavors. It was about bringing fun and novelty to the table. Thanks to the accessibility and affordability of canned pineapple, a pantry staple, it became the go-to ingredient for adding that tropical twist. Hawaiian meatloaf delivered. It was still cozy and satisfying, but just different enough, with that sweet savory interplay, to feel fresh and exciting. While today's cooks might use lean ground turkey, that original spirit classic meatloaf with a sunny, pineapple-kissed twist still offers a delightful bite of retro flair. Spanish cream custard. Here's a smooth, elegant operator from the lighter side of the 70s dessert repertoire: Spanish cream custard. This delightful treat felt wonderfully indulgent on the tongue, light, cool, and silky, yet its preparation was surprisingly straightforward, making it a favorite among home cooks looking for an impressive finish without a lot of effort. The magic typically involved eggs, milk, sugar, vanilla extract, and a key stabilizing ingredient: unflavored gelatin. The gelatin allowed the custard to set beautifully into a delicate mold, or simply in dessert dishes, without requiring any baking, a big plus for busy cooks or hot weather. While traditional custards were timeless, the 70s saw a growing interest in lighter, quicker dessert options, and Spanish cream fit the bill perfectly. It delivered comforting, creamy texture with an elegant wobble, easily customizable with different flavorings like lemon or orange zest or almond extract. Despite its somewhat exotic-sounding name, its popularity spread mainly through everyday American cookbooks and community recipe collections, often served simply chilled, perhaps with a dollop of fruit sauce or fresh berries. Simple, refined, and refreshingly easy, a true 70s dessert gem. Watergate cake. While the actual Watergate scandal dominated headlines, American kitchens were buzzing about something else entirely. Watergate cake. What a name to give a dessert, right? It certainly got people talking. This dessert was typically a light, moist cake, often sporting a distinctive pistachio green hue, generously studded with chopped pecans. It featured layers or swirls of creamy pistachio pudding and was lavishly frosted with fluffy, sweet whipped topping, usually Cool Whip straight from the tub. How did it get that notorious name? The origin stories are hazy and debated. Some claim it was a playful nod to the political cover-up, referencing the layers. Others think it was just clever marketing. Whatever the truth, the catchy name stuck, and the cake's popularity soared. It became a staple at church suppers and family reunions, perfectly embodying the 70s love affair with convenient, easy-to-assemble desserts using boxed cake mixes, instant pudding, and non-dairy whipped topping. No advanced baking skills required, just open, mix, layer, and chill. Today, you might find from-scratch versions using real pistachios, but the playful spirit, the slightly mysterious name, and the nostalgic charm of that original creation remain a sweet slice of 70s history. Which one brought back the strongest memories for you? Or perhaps, which recipe surprised, or maybe even baffled, you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stuffed deviled chops. Feeling the need to put something a little more impressive on the dinner table, maybe for Sunday dinner or when company came over, but without splurging on steak? Stuffed deviled chops were often the answer back in the 70s. These were usually substantial, thick-cut loin or center-cut chops, carefully sliced horizontally to create a pocket, ready to be packed with a bold, zesty filling. That intriguing deviled part signaled a flavor punch, typically a mixture of breadcrumbs, sharp yellow mustard or tangy Dijon, melted butter or margarine, and spices like paprika, salt, and pepper. It elevated a humble, everyday cut of meat into something that felt decidedly more special and flavorful, adding moisture and interest. Applying this zesty concept to hearty, oven-baked pork chops felt like a natural fit for a decade obsessed with both casseroles and anything stuffed, from bell peppers to mushrooms. Modern kitchens might use whole wheat breadcrumbs, add finely chopped apple or sage to the stuffing, or opt for leaner cuts. But that fundamental savory, slightly tangy goodness baked into a juicy chop? Still a winner, reminding us why it was a dinnertime favorite worth remembering. Tomato soup cake. Now, hold on to your hats for a culinary curveball that sounds like a prank but was, in fact, a surprisingly beloved piece of American baking history. Tomato soup cake. Yes, you absolutely read that correctly. While the name might conjure bizarre images, this moist, richly spiced cake was a testament to home cook resourcefulness, with roots stretching back to the lean times of the Great Depression when fresh ingredients were scarce. It proved just how clever bakers could be when needing to stretch pantry staples. The secret weapon? A can of condensed tomato soup. But here's the crucial part: it didn't make the cake taste like pasta sauce. Instead, the soup's acidity and subtle savory notes miraculously worked to enhance the warm, aromatic spices typically used, while also contributing incredible moisture and a tender crumb, often replacing some of the fat or eggs. The result was far more akin to a rich spice cake than anything soupy. By the 70s, it was a well-established, if delightfully quirky, classic, frequently appearing in church cookbooks and served sliced at potlucks, often slathered with a tangy cream cheese frosting or studded with raisins and walnuts for extra flavor. It remains a nostalgic treat that often surprises new generations with just how delicious weird can be. Crown Jewel Dessert. If you wanted a dessert guaranteed to elicit gas savu and at a 70s party or holiday gathering, the Crown Jewel dessert, also aptly known as broken glass cake, was your absolute go-to showstopper. Imagine the visual impact: shimmering, jewel-toned cubes of different flavored fruit jello, suspended dramatically within a creamy, opaque, often lemon or pineapple-flavored base. It truly looked like edible stained glass, especially when unmolded from a fluted ring mold. It was visually stunning, incredibly fun to eat with its contrasting textures, and honestly, pretty simple to assemble, making it a smash hit for everything from Christmas dinner to church potlucks. Americans were deeply enamored with gelatin's versatility back then, evolving simple molds into elaborate creations. For this masterpiece, you'd prepare several boxes of jello, let them set firmly, cut them into neat cubes, and then gently fold these colorful jewels into a base mixture, typically lemon jello dissolved and combined with whipped topping, Cool Whip again, and sometimes enriched further with softened cream cheese for extra body. More than just pretty, it was practical, no baking required, impressive looking, and easily served a crowd. That playful, slightly over-the-top, brightly colored aesthetic is pure 70s dessert magic. Bologna Cups. Okay, time to celebrate some real thrifty genius from the 70s playbook. If you grew up in that era, you likely encountered the amazing Bologna Cup. This wasn't haute cuisine. This was pure kitchen ingenuity born from necessity and a playful spirit. You simply took a standard slice of bologna, that ubiquitous, affordable lunch meat staple, pressed it firmly into a regular muffin tin cup, and baked it for a short time until the edges curled up and crisped, forming a neat little edible container. Then, the filling possibilities were delightfully varied. Fill M with mashed potatoes, a classic, or just about any creamy leftover. Bologna itself had been a budget-friendly protein source for decades. Frying slices was common, but shaping it into functional cups using the heat of the oven and a muffin tin? That was taking humble lunch meat to a creative new level, giving it texture, form, and flair. These cups were incredibly versatile, perfect for kid-friendly meals or transformed into quirky party appetizers. That salty, crispy bologna edge combined with a creamy filling was strangely, satisfyingly addictive. Have you ever tried any of these 1970s classics? Which one is your all-time favorite? Or which are you most curious to taste now? Let us know. And if you enjoyed this flavorful trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support GoldDaysUSA and catch more amazing retro content. Savory Liver Loaf. Alright, let's venture into territory that might make some modern diners a bit squeamish, but was a practical reality on many 1970s tables: savory liver loaf. This dish wasn't typically served for its glamour, but rather stemmed from a combination of long-standing culinary tradition and economic necessity. Essentially a meatloaf variation, it utilized ground liver, most commonly beef or chicken liver, mixed with familiar binders and flavorings like breadcrumbs or cracker meal, finely chopped onions, eggs, and various seasonings. Organ meats like liver had been valued for centuries for their dense nutritional profile. Crucially, during periods of economic strain, as often seen in the inflationary 70s, liver was frequently one of the most affordable sources of animal protein available. Now, liver possesses a distinct, strong flavor that wasn't universally loved. That's precisely why creative home cooks got clever. Baking it into the familiar, comforting shape of a loaf made it seem less intimidating, especially when seasoned assertively to counterbalance the dominant liver taste. A dash of pungent mustard, savory Worcestershire sauce, or herbs like sage helped to mellow the flavor. Savory liver loaf reflected a time when nose-to-tail eating wasn't a trendy movement, but simply standard, resourceful kitchen practice. It was usually served hot, sliced thickly, often accompanied by mashed potatoes and rich brown gravy. It remains a taste of practical, frugal cooking from a bygone era. Church supper hot dish. Travel to the heartland of America, particularly the upper Midwest, and you'll encounter a culinary institution, a casserole that's practically synonymous with community gatherings, the church supper hot dish. Often simply called hot dish, this is far more than just a meal. It's a warm hug in a baking dish, a symbol of comfort, community, and potluck practicality, built to feed a crowd generously using reliable pantry staples. The classic, most iconic version typically starts with a base of brown ground beef, perhaps mixed with chopped onions. This is then combined with a canned vegetable, often corn or green beans, all enveloped in a creamy, savory sauce usually derived from condensed cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup. This mixture is spread evenly in a large casserole dish. But the real star, the undisputed, universally adored crowning glory? That magnificent, golden brown, perfectly crispy topping of frozen tater tots, arranged in neat rows across the entire surface. Baked until the tots are crunchy and the filling is bubbly, that final layer sealed its reputation as a beloved family favorite. By the 70s, this dish represented affordable, hearty, shareable food perfect for church basements, family reunions, or just a cozy Tuesday night. Pure Midwest hospitality, served hot. Salmon mousse mold. In the entertaining landscape of the 1970s, presentation often reigned supreme, and nothing quite screamed fancy luncheon or sophisticated appetizer like a dramatically unmolded salmon mousse mold. This wasn't just food, it was practically edible decor designed to impress. Imagine a smooth, pastel pink concoction, typically crafted from canned salmon, softened cream cheese for richness, perhaps some finely minced onion or celery, lemon juice for brightness, all bound together firmly with unflavored gelatin. The crucial element was chilling it in an ornate mold, often shaped, quite literally, like a fish or perhaps a decorative ring mold, until completely set, then carefully unmolding it onto a platter lined with crisp lettuce leaves for maximum visual impact. It might sound somewhat unusual to modern palates, but back then, this gelatin-based creation signaled a certain level of culinary sophistication. Molded dishes felt inherently elegant, and thanks to readily available convenience items like canned salmon and boxed gelatin, any home cook could achieve this seemingly extravagant result. The cream cheese helped mellow the canned fish flavor, yielding a smooth, rich, yet surprisingly delicate texture. A true retro showpiece. Cream cheese and olive sandwiches. Step into a 1970s social gathering, an afternoon bridge club meeting, a baby shower, or a neighborly coffee klatch, and you'd almost certainly encounter an array of delicate, crustless finger sandwiches. Among the usual suspects, one particularly popular standout was the cream cheese and olive sandwich. Its beauty lay in its simplicity, yet it delivered a sophisticated savory punch. The base was smooth, rich, tangy cream cheese, which had firmly established itself as a versatile kitchen staple. This creamy base was then blended with finely chopped green olives, usually those sharp, salty, pimento-stuffed manzanilla olives. This pairing gave the spread a delightful salty, briny kick that cut through the richness of the cream cheese. Served traditionally on soft white bread, with the crusts meticulously trimmed, naturally, or sometimes on thin slices of rye, the sandwiches were typically cut into neat little triangles or fingers. They looked dainty and refined, but packed a surprisingly bold flavor. Creative home cooks often added their own touches, perhaps some chopped pecans for textural crunch. Even today, these simple yet satisfying sandwiches evoke a certain retro charm, a reminder of a time when straightforward, flavorful spreads ruled the entertaining table. Peanut butter bread. Peanut butter was already an undisputed champion in 70s kitchens, the star of countless school lunches, spread thickly on morning toast, or baked into cookies. But one particularly comforting recipe from that era brought peanut butter to the table in a different, yet equally beloved form: peanut butter bread. This wasn't your airy sandwich loaf. It was a dense, moist, wonderfully nutty quick bread, made tender with peanut butter's natural oils and incredibly easy to whip up. Its beauty lay in its simplicity. Typically just flour, baking powder for lift, sugar, milk, an egg perhaps, and, of course, a generous scoop of creamy or crunchy peanut butter providing the dominant flavor. It usually came together quickly in one bowl, required no kneading, just mix, pour into a loaf pan, and bake. That straightforwardness made it a huge winner during a time when convenience was highly valued. It remained popular because it was practical, affordable using pantry staples, and offered a unique, satisfying flavor profile. Some families enjoyed it slightly sweeter, others kept it more savory. Served sliced, maybe warm from the oven, slathered with butter, more peanut butter, or jam, it was a comforting slice of home and delicious proof that even the humblest ingredients can create something truly special. Sweet potato pineapple pudding. In the grand tapestry of 1970s side dishes, especially around the holidays, few dishes walk the delicious line between savory accompaniment and sweet dessert quite as effectively as sweet potato pineapple pudding or casserole. This warm, comforting, oven-baked creation was a shining star on many festive tables, bringing together earthy, creamy mashed sweet potatoes with the bright, juicy tang of pineapple chunks, all enriched with brown sugar, melted butter, and often warm spices like cinnamon. The result was a flavor combination that was simultaneously down-home comforting and excitingly tropical. Sweet potatoes, of course, had deep roots in American cuisine. But by the mid-20th century, canned pineapple, made affordable and widely accessible, started making its way into everything including this beloved sweet potato dish. The pineapple's bright acidity provided a perfect counterpoint, cutting through the natural richness of the potatoes, while brown sugar and butter melded everything into a sweet, almost caramelized harmony during baking. Often topped with pecans or the classic marshmallow topping for extra texture and indulgence, this pudding frequently found its place right next to the holiday ham or roast turkey, happily serving as both a vegetable side and a pre-dessert treat. The original heartwarming essence of that sweet potato and pineapple marriage remains a nostalgic favorite. Corned beef hash bake. Corned beef hash, that quintessential diner staple. The classic way to use up leftover corned beef and potatoes received a cozy, convenient, oven-baked transformation popular in the 1970s, the corned beef hash bake. This clever evolution turned a humble, skillet-fried dish into something substantial enough for a family breakfast or even a crowd-pleasing brunch favorite. Traditional hash itself, a hearty mixture of chopped corned beef, very often the canned variety, diced potatoes, and sautéed onions, has deep roots and thrifty, no-waste cooking a smart, economical way to stretch leftovers. The widespread availability of canned corned beef cemented hash's place in post-war American kitchens. But then came the 1970s, the golden age of the casserole. One-dish meals were in high demand. Naturally, hash got the casserole treatment. Home cooks began layering their favorite hash mixture into a baking dish. Often, they'd create little wells in the hash and crack fresh eggs directly into them before baking. A generous sprinkling of shredded cheese, typically sharp cheddar or American over the top, was almost mandatory, melting into a glorious golden crust as it baked until everything was hot, bubbly, and utterly irresistible. It was pure, hearty comfort food, steeped in culinary history but perfectly adapted for the casserole-crazy decade. Chilled fruit soup. On a sweltering 1970s summer afternoon, or perhaps served as a light, elegant first course or dessert, when families and hosts were searching for something cool, refreshing, and a little out of the ordinary, chilled fruit soup stepped gracefully onto the scene. This wasn't a savory soup, but rather a sweet, vibrant, uncooked blend offering a delightful escape from heavy meals. Imagine a smooth, beautifully colored puree of fresh, ripe seasonal fruit, blended until silky, often combined with creamy yogurt or tangy buttermilk for body and a pleasant tartness. A touch of sweetness from honey or sugar balanced the flavors. This no-bake treat was easy on the palate and fit perfectly into the era's growing awareness of health-conscious eating. While cold fruit soups had long traditions elsewhere, Americans truly began to embrace them more widely during the 70s. The increasing prevalence of countertop blenders made preparation practically effortless. Just toss in the ingredients and blend until smooth. Served well chilled in pretty glass bowls or cups, perhaps garnished with a fresh mint sprig, it felt both elegant and refreshingly simple, a cool, sophisticated nod to a decade seeking freshness. 7-Up salad. And finally, no exploration of iconic, sometimes wonderfully weird, 1970s food would be complete without acknowledging the legend that is the 7-Up salad. Another star player from the Jell-O salad universe. This one was unabashedly sweet, vibrantly colored, and often served as a salad course or a light dessert. Typically, lime green Jell-O formed the wobbly base, but instead of just water, part of the liquid used to dissolve the gelatin was replaced with bubbly, lemon-lime flavored 7-Up soda. Mixed into this fizzy base were ingredients like crushed pineapple, drained naturally, fluffy miniature marshmallows, and occasionally even softened cream cheese blended in for a richer texture. The result was a bright green, citrusy, jiggly creation that joyfully blurred the lines between salad and dessert. Gelatin salads, in general, were wildly popular throughout the mid-century and into the 70s, seen as a versatile canvas for creative combinations. The soda in the 7-Up salad didn't just contribute flavor, its carbonation was believed to give the finished salad a lighter, fluffier texture. It was undeniably playful, visually striking with its suspended marshmallows and fruit, and required zero oven time, a definite plus. Often set in a decorative ring mold, it was the epitome of fun, slightly kitschy, but genuinely enjoyed 70s entertaining. A sweet, fizzy, and unforgettable trip down memory lane. These sandwiches remind us of the strength, creativity, and resilience of past generations. They show us how even the most basic ingredients could become satisfying meals, proving that necessity truly is the mother of invention. Which of these simple, storied sandwiches sparks a memory or makes you curious to try? They're more than just food, they're little pieces of history,